This is Andi Purewal for Boxing Social in association with Betfred. I'm joined by Ariel Helwani here in Tampa. Ariel, we've just seen the weigh-ins for Tyron and Jake. Firstly, what did you take away from the weigh-in that we've just witnessed?
I think Jake Paul appears to be in, by the way, good to see you again. Jake Paul appears to be in great shape. Woodley, obviously everyone made weight. He took the fight on short notice. Still a tremendous shape, but maybe not as cut as the first time we saw him. I was impressed by Darren Williams and Frank Gore. Williams told me that he weighed 242 in, mid-November? Early November, 6 weeks ago. And Frank Gore made weight. Amanda Serrano looked good for 135. She was a little under 135. So, yeah, overall, seemed to be pretty successful.
Tyron, a couple of pounds lighter than Jake. Do you read anything into that?
Not really. I mean, he's a 170-pounder historically in MMA. So, fighting at 190 is a little bit new to him. So I think that, it was just like 2 pounds. That's right. I am fighting. I'm the biggest draw on this card, Nikisa. I'm the biggest draw here. I don't think there's anything to worry about.
Ariel, what did you make of seeing them both on the scales this time round in comparison to their first fight? Some people were watching Jake in the first commission weigh-in back in August, suggested he was a little drawn in the face. Did he look better today?
I thought he looked much better. I thought he looked more full in the face. I thought he looked cut. It's a great point. I thought he looked much better. He was the last one to show up, but I think he was just scheduled to be last. So yeah, that's a huge improvement from 3.5 months ago. And I think that's kind of the theme with Jake. Every time we see him compete, improvements, whether it's in the ring, outside of the ring. So we'll see what that translates into on Saturday.
So seeing what it translates to on Saturday night. So what do you expect to see this time around? Tyron's said this isn't the first round, it's the 9th round for him. It's a continuation, and he wants to not just get the stoppage, but he wants to just be more aggressive. What we didn't see in the first fight. Is that how you'd expect the fight to play out? Tyron to be a bit more aggressive?
I hope so. He says that, but muscle memory kicks in sometimes. This has been a problem for him dating back to 2018 when he lost to Kamaru Usman. He had one fight where he threw caution to the wind. That was against Vicente Luque in his last UFC fight, and he looked good, and then he got caught. So obviously you want him to be methodical, you want him to be smart, but yes, you would like to see him throw more and be more active. And so I'm curious to see how he looks, especially in those first, 3 rounds. In the 4th round, he was successful back in August, so I'm curious to see in the first 3 rounds if he throws more. This time, he has a fight under his belt, a boxing match under his belt, so he shouldn't be as nervous or uncomfortable, but let's see what it translates into.
It's an interesting point you make with regards to Tyron and it being a bit of an issue for him over recent years, dating back to when he was still fighting in the UFC. Going back over the last fight, after he hurt Jake in that 4th round, that was the question mark, why did he not put his foot on the gas a little bit? Do you think it is the concern in the back of his mind going back to the UFC and he just didn't want to effectively get caught? And he mentioned at the press conference this week he realised Jake does have more power than what maybe people suggested beforehand.
I think there's mutual respect there for sure, and I also think he said that he was tired and he said that he hurt his shoulder and so he couldn't, throw everything at him. I think he'll probably regret that for a very long time, and if he didn't get this rematch, he would have regretted it for a really long time, so now he's getting a chance to right the wrong. But yes, that has been the theme since 2018, going back almost 4 years now. He's just not throwing enough, he's not active enough, he doesn't seem as confident as he once was, so I hope for his sake that he can leave the fight on Saturday and say, all right, I did enough.
Just away from it, so I get your thoughts on when Tommy Fury dropped out. What did you make of that?
I'm not one to question a fighter. I think that it's legitimate. This payday would have been by far the biggest of his career. Why would he pull out? I think the notion that he's scared or something is hogwash. Rib injuries are pretty serious. You can't do anything other than heal up. Jorge Masvidal just suffered a rib injury, and he couldn't fight against Leon Edwards back last weekend at UFC 269. So a chest infection, rib injuries. There is not a doubt in my mind that this was, some sort of made-up thing. No, not at all. I feel bad for him because he seems like a genuinely good person, and this was a huge opportunity. And I wouldn't mind, even if I don't know if they'll do it right away, but I'd like to see those two guys fight at some point, Jake and Tommy. I think we've been on this roller coaster with them for a little bit now, so it would be nice to see that fight come to fruition.
Just a couple more from me, Ariel, before I let you go. With Jake, he mentioned yesterday at the press conference again, he can see himself eventually having, whether it be one bout or a few bouts within MMA, he can certainly see himself crossing over. Do you think that could be a possibility?
No. He makes so much money in boxing. He's putting all his time and effort. Why waste time in a sport where you'll make less? And, you got to learn wrestling and jiu-jitsu and all this stuff. Like, look what happened to Clarissa Shields, who's the best pound for pound in many people's eyes, along with Katie Taylor, right? 1 and 2. When she went to MMA, first fight, dicey, second fight, lost. I would be very surprised if that's in the cards.
Final one, as you mentioned Usman earlier, he's called for a bout with Canelo Alvarez. Yeah. Do you think at any point we might see it?
No. I don't know. I mean, I understand why he wants it. There's a lot of money. But like from a skill standpoint, it's not Usman's forte. He's a tremendous MMA fighter with great wrestling and great clinch work. And he's developed into a great fighter as well in terms of boxing, in terms of striking for MMA. But everyone knows MMA striking isn't the same as boxing striking, so I would be shocked. Usman has enough challenges in the UFC, and Canelo has enough challenges in boxing. Like here's the thing, Mayweather and McGregor, that happened because there was actually a demand for it. There were two huge stars, and people were buzzing and all that. With all due respect, there's no huge demand for it. There's a demand for Usman and Leon Edwards. There's no huge demand, in my opinion, for Usman versus Canelo.
I'm interested to just get your thoughts. Obviously, Jake's been very vocal about kind of UFC pay and how there's just a lot more money within boxing. What's your take on Jake's comments and obviously this rivalry which is stemmed between him and Dana White, amongst other things?
I think he's right. I mean, I think that there is more money to be made in boxing right now for the top stars, even for like the challengers. You see, like, what the likes of George Kambosos made in his fight before he beat Teofimo Lopez. So I think he's right. I mean, the whole boxing model compared to the MMA model is completely different. MMA model is more like pro wrestling than it is boxing, where there's like, a dominant organization, and then, you pretty much are exclusive to them, and there's only a couple others out there. As you know, boxing is completely different. So I don't see any lies in what he is saying. That being said, you could make good money if you're an MMA fighter, if you're the creme de la creme. But I think that more fighters at the top of boxing are making top dollar as opposed to the top of MMA.
Right, Ariel, we'll leave that there and I'll leave you to enjoy the rest of your days. Appreciate your time. It's great to catch up with you and enjoy tomorrow night.
Thank you. Same to you.